Yeah.
Right there.
These two people have questions. This lady right here.
Of course, give it to the woman first. She's
Yeah, we'll get you in a minute, okay?
Are you really a sex machine?
I'm sorry? What was that?
Are you really a sex machine?
Come talk to me.
Are you wearing that?
My hotel
Go up there, go on.
I have a hotel. Well, you have to decide for yourself. Okay?
Oh.
Hey, honesty is the best policy. But I didn't answer the question, did I? Okay. Yes, of course I'm sex machine, right? I mean, just like Derek is Jason, I'm sex machine, right?
If this dude asks you if you're still sex machine,
I'm getting out of here.
I'll get you out quickly.
We'll just call Rob in, yeah.
All right. I'm sorry if I walked in late, but I was curious if in Dawn of the Dead, your character, like later on in Land of the Dead, was it supposed to be the same, or was it more like a kind of like a cameo type of deal?
No, after in Land of the Dead, I am the character from Dawn of the Dead.
it's the only recurring zombie.
Yeah, it's the first time that Romero ever had a recurring character in any of the Dead movies, so that's why the costume was the same, you know. I had to shave this off and just have this, you know, so. Yeah, that was Blades from Dawn of the Dead. Although they called him Hatchet Zombie or Machete Zombie in Land of the Dead, yeah. So, anyway. It's funny because if you saw my eyes were all puffy in Land of the Dead. It's because Greg said, well, you landed in the fountain. Well, I didn't stay in the fountain for a year, did I? I mean, you know, I at least got out and walked around before my eyes got puffy. No, it's a token gesture. Okay, whatever you say. But it's great. Yeah, you had a question.
If there was one movie that you worked on that you could go back and just redo, you just had a great time doing, what movie would it be?
If there was one movie that I worked on that I could go back and redo, Creep Show, probably, yeah. Because, not because it was bad or anything, it's just because that normally everything I do works in the movie, the effects, the magic tricks that I call them. But in Creep Show, everything we tried to do to Stephen King did not work. We had a hand that grew a plant, that wouldn't work. His tongue grew plants, couldn't get that to work. We had green lenses for his eyes, we couldn't get him in because his reflexes were too tough. Nothing that I planned to do to Stephen King worked, and I want to impress this guy. You know, it's Stephen King, you know, so. But I'd love to go back and do all the stuff to Stephen King over again, you know. We couldn't even cast his head because he had claustrophobia, and he tore it off. He tore it off while we were putting it on, you know. So, anyway.
Any more questions? Right back there. The mic is coming to you, my dear.
What do you find some of the bigger differences are in doing effects and makeup for black and white films as opposed to color films?
Well, one of the main differences is the blood. In a black and white film, it's chocolate syrup, you know, and in a color film, it's Cairo syrup. And red and yellow food coloring, and but speaking of blood, you know, they make a big mistake in movies these days. Like, if you've seen Identity, you ever see Identity? Woo! There was a guy with a white shirt on, the blood looked like strawberry Kool-Aid, you know? Makeup artists today don't seem to have learned if the blood goes on something white, and if you're doing effects, if the blood goes on something white, you have to add green to the blood, and the red stays deep red when it hits something white. Every movie that you see today, when it's on white clothing, it looks like strawberry Kool-Aid, you know? They have missed some Dick Smith point, you know, somewhere. So. But that's one of them. But black and white, you know, if it was a black and white movie, it would have been made in the 30s and 40s and not today, unless it's Woody Allen or somebody like that. So, and that's where the movies were scarier, I thought, because you didn't see all this stuff. You're being trained to expect blood and gore, even in the big budget movies, Casino, Goodfellas, Total Recall. Even they think that you're disappointed, or you know, they'll disappoint the fans if there's not some blood and gore, even in big budget movies. And that's a shame, because once the effect is done, that's it. It'll always be just that. But if it happens behind a closed door, and you have to imagine what's going on behind that door, every time you see that movie, it's different in your mind because you're creating a different scenario. And depending on how old you are, the scarier it gets, you know, so. But that's the sin is that you're being trained to expect that, and you're disappointed if you don't get it. It's the same thing with CGI. You're expected now, you're being trained to accept CGI. But you still have to pretend that what you're seeing is happening, because it's not really happening. Like Rick Baker's American Werewolf in London, that happened right before your very eyes. My stuff happens right before your very eyes. You don't have to make that effort to pretend. And there's a lot of people, this whole collective dislike of CGI is because, well, you're thinking, why should I have to make that effort? Why isn't it like right there, you know? But I still love it when it's done well. Lord of the Rings, you know, priceless, you know. American Werewolf in Paris, in the toilet.
Boo, CGI.
I know. So, but makeup-wise, black and white color, there's a world of difference, and it just depends on the particular movie and situation or effect, you know. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Right there.
In the past 10 or 15 years, what do you think is the scariest movie that you haven't worked on?
In the past 10 or 15 years, what's the scariest movie?
Yeah, in your opinion,
that I haven't worked on? Yeah, of course. I mean, has there been one? No, I'm serious. I mean, there's only 2 movies that scared me, and that was The Exorcist and Alien. Why is that? I mean, they were done so well. Well, The Exorcist because, you know, I was raised a Catholic, so that stuff, we're brainwashed with that. And it hit some point in a lot of people that's so deep and scary that it's beyond nightmares, you know. But in the last 10 or 15 years, what has scared me? Oh, the closet scene in The Ring, that got me pretty well, you know. That was the only scene, though, that got me in that movie, was the closet scene in The Ring. I don't know, I don't have a ready list in my head. If I could look at a list and say, oh yeah, that one, you know, so I can't come up with it. But those 2 stick out in my mind. Yeah.
Anyone else? Going once?
Oh,
Holy shit!
see, when you
I should have been doing that the whole time.
Well, you weren't here when I was cracking the bull whip.
I missed it. Well, I'm kind of-
Real quick,
Go
I
for
know
it.
they made a ton of remakes, all that, but there was one horror movie from the 70s that you think should be remade.
A horror movie from the 70s that I think should be remade now. Nothing comes to mind because, you know, that was some director out there put his vision together, you know. It's like, you know, it's not like I'm out there judging he did a horrible job or something like that, you know. In that case, there'd be dozens and dozens of them. That good. Well, but if it's that good, why would you remake it, you know? I mean, I went through the same shit with Night of the Living Dead. Why are you remaking that? You know, the first one is a classic, you know. And, yeah, so... But, you know, I get emails from kids who love that movie, who weren't very familiar with the original one, and they love the remake. And to me, I think it's interchangeable in the trilogy of dawn, day, you know, night. You had a question.